وكفى ثم الصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وبعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Inshallah, today is the 5th day of Ramadan 1441, which is equivalent to April 28, 2020, and we are continuing our class on Tafsir, Surah Mulk. And today we will analyze on the verse قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون. Say, it is He, Allah the Almighty, the one who created you and assigned for you as-sam'a, the sense of hearing, wal-abasara, in the sense of seeing, wal-af'ida, and that is the heart. قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ, little do you give thanks to Allah the Almighty for these senses. It's very important for us to ponder over these bounties of Allah the Almighty, and that is the bounty of sense, because these senses can be snatched away from us at any time. He, the Most High, mentioned saying, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتَكُمْ إِنْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ سَمْعَكُمْ وَأَبْصَارَكُمْ وَخَتَمَ عَلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ مَنْ إِلَهٌ غَيْرُ اللَّهِ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِهِ. Say, tell me, if Allah the Almighty snatched away your sense of hearing and your sense of seeing and then placed a seal on your heart, who besides Allah the Almighty can restore them back to you? Of course, the answer is there is no one. So it's very important for us to ponder over these great bounties of Allah the Almighty on us in order to know Allah. And if we know Allah, we will submit to Him, and we will love Him, and we will yield to His command, and we will raise the palm of humbleness to Him alone, and worship Him and single Him out alone, and give Him the right that He deserves. That's why the Prophet ﷺ constantly asks Allah the Almighty to allow us to enjoy these senses and not snatch it away from us. Like he was saying in his dua, وَمَتِّعْنَا اللَّهُمَّ بِأَسْمَاعِنَا وَأَبْصَارِنَا وَقُوَّاتِنَا أَبَدًا مَا أَبْقَيْتَنَا. He said, oh Allah, allow us to enjoy the sense of seeing, the sense of hearing, the sense of what? The strength that she gave us as long as we are alive. Do not snatch them away from us and allow them to inherit us, not we inheriting them. Allowing our senses to inherit us means we will die along with our senses. But if we are inheriting them, meaning they will die before us, meaning we will lose them before we die. So may the Almighty allow us to enjoy these senses. Amen. But it's very important for us to think about the wisdom of Allah the Almighty and how He placed all of these senses in our head. The head is called Ras, and Ras means the leader. The head of a place is the leader of that place. So the head of our body is the leader. This is the reason why Allah the Almighty, out of His wisdom, He placed the sense of seeing in our head, the sense of smelling in our head, the sense of taste in our head, the sense of what? Hearing in our head. All of these senses are found in our head. This is one of the greatest wisdom of Allah the Almighty. And there is no animal, or almost all the animals that you come across, all of these senses are found in their head. Could you imagine our eyes being on our chest, or our eyes being in our belly button, or in our hands, or food? It's not going to look right. So just thinking about the wisdom of Allah the Almighty by placing everything where they belong, in their right places, this is something that we need to ponder over in order to give thanks and praises to Allah the Almighty. It's also very important for us to think about the wisdom of Allah the Almighty and how He how He assigned for each of these senses. He support them with what they need in order to function right. Our eyes needs light in order to see. If there is no light, there will be no benefit for our eyes because we can't see with it. And our ear needs air in order for it to transfer sound to our ear, or otherwise we will not be able to hear. This is the reason why if somebody is in a glass room and you are outside, you'll be talking to him, he sees you, but you cannot what? You cannot hear what he is saying because there is no air. I mean, the glass has set a barrier between you and him. So air is what transfers the sounds to our ear. And he also supports the sense of smelling with breeze. Without it, we will not be able to smell. And likewise, the sense of taste with saliva. Without it, we will not be able to taste. All this is from the wisdom of Allah, the Almighty, in His creation. So it's very important for us to ponder over these things. So we'd like to ponder over these organs that Allah the Almighty created in us that support our senses, one after the other, in order for us to know the greatness of Allah the Almighty. So if you look at our ear, for example, you will see that Allah the Almighty has created our ears and made it hollow, resembling a shell. Our ear resembles a shell. The reason being is in order for it to be able to carry sound and transfer it easily to the ear canal. This is the wisdom of Allah the Almighty in creating our ear in the form of shell. This does not happen by chance, rather it is the doing of Allah the Almighty. And likewise, out of His wisdom, He the Most High has placed. Let's now think about the organ of what? Smelling, which is our nose. And think about how Allah the Almighty created the nose by placing the nasal bone in the middle of our face and covering it with a flesh. And then He created the nostrils and then placed a barrier between the nose. It is one nose, but it has what? Two passages. The wisdom behind it, as our scholars mention, is because the nose is the passage of waste, that come from our head, and that is the boogie and the flame and all of this stuff. So Allah the Almighty has created two passages for it, so that if one passage is stuffed with the waste, the other passage will be available for us to be able to breathe with it. So it is one nose, but it functions as two, like the way we have what? Two eyes. All this is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. And He made the nose to be the organ with which we can smell beneficial smells, something that is harmful, so that we can stay away from it, to be able to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. And He made the nose to be the excretion tool of the brain, of the brain, causing the waste of the brain to gather and come through the nostrils. And out of His wisdom, He made two passages for the waste, so that if one is stuffed with the waste, the other will carry out the function of breathing. It is one nose on the face, but it does the function of two, like eyes and ears. Therefore, glorified is Allah the Almighty, the Lord of all that exists. When the believer thinks about these things, he thinks about it and analyzes it in a manner that he can attribute the wisdom of Allah the Almighty to Allah in order to praise Allah the Almighty, to know the majesty of the Creator, His knowledge, His wisdom, His ability, His omniscience, and His omnipotence, in order to venerate Him and single Him out alone with worship. But the evolutionists who ponder and analyze these things, he is doing that in order to prove the inexistence of Allah the Almighty, which they are not able to do. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of this deen. Ameen. These are those whom Allah the Almighty described in His book, in various verses of the Quran, saying, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّنْ آيَةٍ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ يَمُرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا وَهُمْ عَنْهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. Allah the Almighty says, how many verses are there, or how many signs are there in the heavens and in the earth? They passed by these signs, but they still what? Turn away from it, and they give it a deaf ear. May the Almighty not make us like that. Ameen. Now let us think about the sense of tasting. and the tool that Allah the Almighty has equipped us with in order to be able to taste with. Let's just talk about our mouth in general. If you think about how He, the Most High, carved the mouth in the most suitable place in our body. He carved the mouth in the most suitable place in our body. Our mouth cannot be in a place better than where it is today. Could you imagine your mouth is on your chest or your belly button or your hand? It will be what? Horrible. So this is the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. He carved the mouth in the most suitable place in our body, and He placed in the mouth many benefits and many tools, including the tool of tasting, speaking, grinding, and swallowing. He has made the tongue the boneless organ to be the interpreter of the king of all the organs in our body, and that is the heart, because the tongue is what interprets the secret of the heart. Anything that is in our heart, the only way we can express it is if we have the tongue to speak. But if the tongue is not there, we will not be able to express it. So Allah the Almighty has made the tongue to be the interpreter of the secret of our hearts. And that is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. He made the tongue to be the messenger that sends out messages of the king. And out of His wisdom, He made the ears and the eyes appearing, because they carry information from outside to inside. And He made the tongue hidden, because it sends out information from inside to outside. So our ears and our eyes are apparent. The reason being is because they carry information from outside to inside, and they send it to the heart. But our tongue carries information from inside and releases it outside. This is the reason why the tongue is hidden. And all this is just it's a critical thinking of how Allah the Almighty created things, and the wisdom behind Him placing everything in its right place. And because the tongue is the most important organ after the heart, it has to be protected. It has to be protected. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said the tongue is what will drag many people to their port of what? Destruction. So He, the Most High, out of His wisdom, He created for the tongue 4 locks: the 2 jaws and the 2 lips. 2 jaws and 2 lips to lock the tongue, in order for us to ponder over what to say before saying it, just so that we will not drag ourselves into the port of destruction. Then Allah the Almighty also decorated the mouth with teeth. Could you imagine being without teeth? I mean, all of you know, if you come across an elderly people who have no teeth, even the way they speak is funny, because the teeth is what is missing. So this teeth plays a big role in our speaking. It plays a big role in our articulations of words. So He, the Most High, out of His wisdom, He placed the teeth in the mouth. He made them the digestive tool of the mouth. He stabilized their roots. He sharpened their edges. He whitened their colors and arranged their rows, and made them equal and symmetrically arranged, resembling arranged pearls. Then He protected these teeth with the 2 lips, making the 2 lips to be the completer of the articulations of words. Out of His wisdom, He has made the lips fleshy, free from bones and veins. Why do you think our lips is boneless? The reason being is because it will allow us to easily close it and open it. And also it will allow us to be able to suck things and to blow things and to kiss. If the lips has bones in it, we will not be able to suck, we will not be able to kiss, and we will not be able to what? To blow. It's going to be what? Awkward. So He, the Most High, has created everything in a perfect manner. Even if you look at our teeth, the way Allah the Almighty created the teeth, if you look at the 4 teeth, you will see that the 4 teeth is what? Is sharp, because we use it to bite. And if you look at the canines, they are also what? Very firm and sharp because we use it to break. But the molar teeth, if you look at the molar teeth, Allah the Almighty arranged them in that manner because we use that to chew and grind. That is why they are not what? They are not sharp as the 4 teeth. So all this did not happen by chance, rather it is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. Therefore glorify is Allah the Almighty. And also out of His wisdom, He created the throats in different shapes and forms. Our throats differ in its shapes and its forms, right? They differ in their narrowness and spaciousness, in their roughness and smoothness, in their thickness and in their lengthiness and shortness, being the reason why voices differ so much so you can hardly come across a voice that resembles the voice of the other. I mean, it's so amazing that you will not see an individual for 10 years, but immediately you hear his voice, you're able to identify this voice. This is the reason why our scholars said the testimony of the blind person will be accepted if he is able to identify the voice of the one whom he is testifying against. Let's say a blind person is present in a crime scene and he heard all those who are there and was able to identify the voice. Our scholars said his testimony will be accepted in the courtroom because of the ability to identify the people by their voices, just as the one with eyesight identifies people by their look and shape. And the random resemblance in people's voices is the same as the random resemblance in people's what? Form and shape. And all this indicate on the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who ponder over these things and analyze them well. Amen. He the Most High also mentioned Al-Afida, which is the heart. And the heart is the king of these internal organs and external organs. It is the most valuable one of all. This is the reason why it is in the middle of the body. Our heart is in the middle of our body. Our heart is in the center of our body. And the center of something is the most important part of that thing. That's why we have the center of the city. So the center of something is the most valuable thing. So our heart is the center of our body. It is the pivot of life. It is the source of the spirit, the fountain of desire, comprehension, knowledge, courage, kindness, patience, tolerance, love, hate, will, pleasure, and more. All this erupts from the heart. So the heart is the fountain of knowledge. It is the fountain of love, hate, anger. All these emotions come from the heart. This is the reason why Allah the Almighty always connect these organs together when addressing us by His statement. Indeed, the hearing, the sighting, and the heart all will be brought to an account. Kul inna as-sam'a wal-basara wal-fu'ada kullu dhalika kana anhu mas'ula. All of these things will be brought to an account because these things are very important parts of our body. Likewise, the statement the Most High, and we have given them the sense of hearing, seeing, and understanding. وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ سَمْعًا وَأَبْصَارًا وَأَفْئِدَةً فَمَا أَغْنَتْ عَنْهُمْ سَمْعُهُمْ وَلَا أَبْصَارُهُمْ وَلَا أَفْئِدَتُهُمْ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِذْ كَانُوا يَجْحَدُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَحَاقَ بِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. May the Almighty make us amongst those who truly believe in Him. Amen. So the remaining organs of the body are but armies and servants of the heart. The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna fil jasadi mudghah. Indeed, in the heart there is a muscle of flesh. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. If this muscle of flesh is upright, then the rest of our body will be upright. But if this muscle of flesh is corrupt, then the rest of the body will be corrupt. Then the Prophet said, Allah, وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. Indeed, that is the heart. So may the Almighty make us amongst those again who ponder over these things. Amen. So it's very important for us to put ourselves in someone else's shoe in order to feel what they feel. So what do you think is the situation of the blind man? The one who cannot see where he places his foot. He does not know what is coming in his direction. He cannot differentiate between colors. He cannot see the beauty of his wife, his children. He cannot see the beauty of this nature. The blind man is very vulnerable. The blind man cannot travel by himself. He's very what? Vulnerable. The example of the blind man is like the example of a chunk of meat on the butcher's what? Board, ready to be chopped into pieces. Because if anything is happening right now, if there's lion, attacking a group of people, the blind man has nothing but to run randomly, either crash to something or fall into a pit. But you, the one whom Allah the Almighty blessed with the sense of seeing, you have to be grateful to Allah the Almighty. However, to be able to understand how great this bounty is, you have to put yourself into the shoe of the blind. And let us also put ourselves into the shoe of the one who cannot what? Hear. The one who cannot hear is the one who is tested with deafness. Could you imagine not being able to hear the Quran, the recitation of the what? Of the Quran. You are missing out the benefits of the lectures of the scholars. You cannot enjoy conversation with your wife, your children, and your loved ones. You cannot enjoy the beautiful sounds that Allah the Almighty has created. The sound of the birds, the frogs, the nature. You cannot enjoy these things. If you are with people, your existence or your presence in the midst of the people is like your absence, because you cannot understand what they are saying. You can't hear what they cannot hold conversation with you. This is a very frustrating situation that a deaf person is undergoing. You cannot hear the sound that is coming to, if let's say there is a gunshot, the deaf is not able to run because he does not know what is going around him, let alone taking a shelter. All right? But Allah the Almighty has blessed us with the sense of hearing to be able to be aware of what is going on in our surroundings, to protect ourselves with them. So if you not put yourself in the situation or in the shoe of the blind, you will not be grateful to Allah the Almighty as the deaf, you will not be grateful to Allah the Almighty as he deserves. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who ponder over these things and are grateful to Him. Amen. So here the Most High said, "Huwa alladhi ansha'a lakum as-sam'a, ansha'akum wa ja'ala lakum as-sam'a wal absara wal af'ida qalilan ma tashkurun." It is He who has created you and assigned for you the sense of hearing, seeing, and understanding, but little do we give thanks to Allah the Almighty for these bounties. قُلْ هُوَ الَّذِي ذَرَأَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. Say it is He who placed you on the face of this earth, created you and placed you on the face of this earth, and to Him all of you will be assembled on the day of judgment. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And this is referring to the disbelievers. What they're saying is, مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ. When is this hour going to happen? You keep saying the hour. When is it going to happen? Where are our forefathers? Where are their forefathers? This is nothing but a lie. This is nothing but a folk tale. There is no truth in this. So they are rejecting the truth. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Walid came to the Prophet, Abu Jahl, he came to the Prophet ﷺ with a rotten bone. And he started to crack these bones in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, "Oh Muhammad, are you saying that after we have died and become rotten bones, will Allah the Almighty bring us back to life again?" And the Prophet said, "Yes, Allah will raise you up and He will burn you in the fire." He the Most High revealed regarding him saying, وَيَقُولُ الْإِنسَانُ أَإِذَا مَا مِتُّ لَسَوْفَ أُخْرَجُ حَيًّا. And a man say, after I died and become rotten bones, will I be brought back to life again? Allah the Honor said, وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا. He coined a similarity for us and he forgot the origin of his creation. Right? Because if you think about the origin of our creation, what we were and what we have become, of course, we will not reject resurrection. But because we forget the origin of our creation, this is the reason why we turn to forget the ability of Allah the Almighty to bring us back to life. But if you think that the one who created you from that disgusting fluid, causing the fluid and the egg to meet in their safe lodging, which is the womb, creating from that fluid a clot of blood, and then creating from that clot of blood a muscle of flesh, and then breathe in that muscle of flesh the spirit, and then created from that the amazing frame, which is the skeleton that holds our bodies. And they created the amazing machines in our bodies, including the heart, the spleen, the lungs, the large and the small intestines. All these amazing machines that are working constantly in us is from a disgusting what? Fluid. So if you think about what we were, why would we then deny that after we died, Allah the Almighty will bring us back to life as He has what? Promised. Only a fool will reject the resurrection. So may the Almighty not make us amongst them. Amen. So here the Most High said, وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And they're saying, when is this promise going to be? When is this hour going to be if you are truthful in your claim? قُلْ إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ إِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Say to them, the knowledge of the hour is with Allah the Almighty. No one knows when the hour will be established. Like here the Most High said, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا. They ask you about the hour, when is it going to be established? قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ رَبِّي. Say to them that the knowledge of the hour is with my Lord. لَا يُجَلِّيهَا لِوَقَتِهَا إِلَّا هُ. No one is able to expose the time of the hour except Allah the Almighty. No one has knowledge of the hour except Allah the Almighty. ثَقُلَتْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا تَأْتِيكُمْ إِلَّا بَغْتَةً. Meaning the hour will not come to you except in a sudden moment, from a direction that you may not perceive. But what we should be more concerned about, instead of worrying ourselves about when is the hour going to be established, we should be more concerned about our death. Because once you die, your hour has established. This was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So consider the day that you will die to be the day of your judgment day. Because once you die, you are transiting from this home to the home of the hereafter. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who think like that. Amen. So here the Most High said, قُلْ إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. Say to them, the knowledge of the hour is with Allah the Almighty, and I am only a plain warner, warning you about the hour, but I don't know when the hour is going to be established. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً سِيئَتْ وُجُوهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَقِيلَ هَذَا الَّذِي كُنْتُمْ بِهِ تَدَّعُونَ. Here the Most High said, but on the day of judgment, when the disbelievers will see the reality which they were calling for, their faces will be uglified. سِيئَتْ وُجُوهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَقِيلَ, and to be said to them, هَذَا الَّذِي كُنْتُمْ بِهِ تَدَّعُونَ. This is what you used to ask for. This is what you used to hasten for. It has come to you now. They will not be able to escape it because they have witnessed ilmul yaqeen, the certain knowledge, and they see it. Ainul yaqeen is certain what? Seeing. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْهُ زُلْفَةً سِيئَتْ وُجُوهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم. So now Allah the Almighty is telling the Prophet ﷺ to say to these disbelievers who disbelieve in the hour, قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله. Say to them, if Allah the Almighty take my spirit away, أو رحمنا, or have mercy on us and keep us until our appointed term. Because they say that they will kill the Prophet if the Prophet did not stop what he is saying. So Allah the Almighty says, say to them, if Allah the Almighty wish to take your spirit right now, or leave you until your appointed term, say to the disbelievers, مَنْ يُجِيرُ الْكَافِرِينَ مِنْ عَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. If the punishment of Allah the Almighty comes to them, the disbelievers, who will save them from the punishment of Allah? Because we the believers, if Allah the Almighty take our spirit now, may the Almighty make us among the true believers, Ameen, then He will have mercy on us. And if He allow us to live, He will still have mercy on us. But you, those who disbelieve, if you die now, you are facing what is worse. And if you are alive, then you are expecting the worst. So may the Almighty again keep us firm upon this deen until death. Ameen. Then Allah the Almighty commanded the Prophet ﷺ to say, قُلْ هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ آمَنَّا بِهِ وَعَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا فَسَتَعْلَمُونَ مَنْ هُوَ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. To say to them, O Muhammad ﷺ, that هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ, meaning Allah is the most gracious, therefore we believe in Him. Therefore, آمَنَّا بِهِ. فَسَتَعْلَمُونَ, and soon you will know مَنْ هُوَ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ, who is upon a plain misguidance. Is it us the believers or you the disbelievers? قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ أَصْبَحَ مَاؤُكُمْ غَوْرًا فَمَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِمَاءٍ مَعِينٍ. Now Allah the Almighty is saying, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ. Now say to them, O Muhammad ﷺ, what if you wake up one day and your water drained out? Who besides Allah the Almighty will bless you or sustain you or provide you with water and clean water? We wake up in the morning, we wash our face with water, we use the restroom, we flush the toilet. If our body is sweaty and sticky, we take shower in order to get rid of it. If we want tea, we boil water to drink tea. I mean, we use water, but do we ever sit down and think about the bounty of Allah the Almighty in this water in order to express our gratefulness to Him? So here the Messiah is saying, what if you wake up one day, you use the restroom, there is no water for you to flush it, you're sweaty and dirty, there is no water for you to wash up, you are thirsty, there is no water for you to drink, there is no water in the tap running, the rivers are drained out. Allah the Almighty commanded the sky to cease its rain. Who besides Allah the Almighty will bless you with water and clean water to drink? Of course, there is nobody but Allah the Almighty alone. Therefore, it is very important for us to sit down and ponder over these things and be grateful to Allah. With this, we come to the conclusion of the Tafsir of Surah Mulk, and inshallah tomorrow we'll begin the next surah, which is Surah Al-Qalam. In brief, the Prophet ﷺ has recommended the believers to recite Surah Al-Mulk every night because it will protect them from the punishment of the grave, and it will intercede for them in the hereafter. And also this surah, like we mentioned, it contains many signs that indicate, or intellectual signs that indicate the existence of Allah the Almighty, His ability, His greatness, and His majesty, including the creation of the seven heavens, the adornment of these lower heavens with lights, and also it reminds us of the punishment that the disbelievers will undergo and how severe the hellfire is. and also remind us of the reward that the believers will receive in the hereafter. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ كَبِيرٌ. It also calls us to ponder over the creation of the birds and how Allah the Almighty created them in this manner to know Allah. It also reminded us that if any punishment is coming towards our direction, there is no one beside Allah the Almighty to save us. Therefore, we should turn back to Allah the Almighty, submit to Him, yield to His command, and cry to Him and raise the palm of humbleness to Him. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who listen to the reminder and put it into practice. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.